Yeah. Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone back again to our continuation of this theme of Bhagavad Gita discussion that we are having. So, we had done third chapter recently only, and today we are moving to the fourth chapter. So, as once again, we will start with this invocation verse of Yamunacarya. So, if all of you recall, I have mentioned that there is this book called as Gitartha Sangraha, which is nothing but a very short summary of Bhagavad Gita given by Yamunacharya, where he has given chapter-wise summary as well. So if you remember, we were reading, for example, text number 7 in the last few classes when we were looking at chapter 3 summary. Okay, since it's a very beautiful summary, I'll just read that once again before we move to chapter 4. Okay, so chapter 3 summary, if you remember, was something like this. Asatya loka rakshaye guneshvarupya kartritam sarveshwareva nyasyokta tritiye karma karyata. So tritiye means the third chapter, karma karyata is talking about karma yoga. And what is the nature of this karma yoga? Asatya, that means, without attachment, the nishkama part. Loka rakshaye, loka sangraha, that part is covered in this. Guneshvarupya, understanding that it is the gunas that are acting, forcing me, kartritam. So that is why giving up the concept that I am the doer. Sarveshwareva nyasyokta, and doing everything as a sacrifice to him. That means doing karma as an offering to the Lord. Only then it becomes karma yoga. Right? So we were discussing this very elaborately, if you remember, when we did the third chapter, that by and large, everything that we studied in chapter 3 is, fits under this particular verse. So now we are going to chapter 4. And so first I will read this verse again, which is for chapter 4. And then we will go into the verses of the 4th chapter Bhagavad Gita. So have a look at this one. Prasangat swasvabhavoktihi karmano karmatasya cha vedha jnanasya mahatmyam chaturdhyaya uchyate. So chaturdhyaya. So the 4th chapter is being discussed. So there are 4 themes he is talking about here. So first of all, the entire 4th chapter is also considered as part of the Karma Yoga description only. And the commentary here is very beautiful because it describes how 4th chapter is related to Karma Yoga. Because one thing in these Acharya's commentary is that they connect all the verses. So everything that Krishna is saying, there is some logic in it, right? So Krishna has spoken about Karma Yoga. Then when he starts speaking 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, then there is some logic in it as to why he is speaking all those things in the 4th chapter. So the 4th chapter, Yamunacharya here is saying, has 4 parts to it. Prasangat swasvabhavoktihi. Swasvabhavoktihi, swasvabhava means his own nature. So one aspect of the 4th chapter is the Lord is speaking about his own nature. Correct? So in the first, if we all know the 4th chapter Bhagavad Gita, right? In the first 10, 12 verses, till the 11th verse, Krishna is talking about why he appears in the world. All those famous verses, Paritranaya Sadhuna, then, right? Janma Karma Chame Divyam. So all these verses are coming where Krishna is talking about Swasvabhavuktihi. He's talking about his own nature. And interestingly, Yamunacharya uses the word prasangat. Prasangat means, it's something like in Hindi, we can call it bato bato mein. So that means when you are speaking about some particular point, sometimes it is natural, right? That from there, like if you see most preachers, they may be giving a lecture on one particular theme. Suddenly they may jump to some other theme. Okay, as a matter of fact. So prasangat can be either viewed as a matter of fact, or it can be viewed as, bato bato mein. So while saying something, you end up going somewhere else and you talk about something and then you come back quickly to your point of discussion. So both Yamunacharya and Ramanujacharya make the same point that while speaking about Karma Yoga, somehow prasangat, and what is that prasanga, they will elaborate in their commentary as we see the verses. So the first part of this 4th chapter is Swasvabhavuktihi. That means Krishna is talking about what is called as Avatara Rahasya. Avatara Rahasya means the secret of his advent to this world. Why does the Lord come to this world? The secret of that he is talking. That is the first theme. So there are 4 themes in the fourth chapter. First theme is this. This is from 4.1 to 4.11. The second part of fourth chapter, he is calling it as Karmano Karmatasya cha. Karmano Karmatasya cha means Karmano is karma is very simple. That Karmano Karmatasya means if you actually split it in the middle, it is akarma. Okay, that means how to see karma as akarma. So if you, all of you, those of you remember the key verses in the fourth chapter, if you remember reading verses between 4.12 and 4.20, there are so many verses that talk about karma, akarma and all that, right? So how to see karma as akarma. So this part he is speaking in the second theme of the fourth chapter. Now, what is this theme? So I'll just make it clear. So as we all know, right in the beginning of the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was inclined to do Jnana Yoga, right? He was always thinking that why do you want me to do Karma Yoga when such a wonderful system of Jnana Yoga is available in where you can just give up work and you can just focus on Jnana Yoga part, because that is something Arjuna liked. So now here Krishna is going to speak in this chapter how to see karma as akarma. Now akarma here, Ramanujacharya, Yamunacarya, both of them use it in the context of Jnana Yoga from this chapter perspective. Why it is like that? Why do they say that? They're saying that because the theme which is currently going on in the end of the third chapter is Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, correct? That means the competition which Arjuna is having in his mind, if you see between the third and the fifth chapter of Bhagavad Gita is about Karma and Jnana Yoga. He is thinking that why should I do this Karma Yoga when Jnana Yoga is available? So, akarma, he is saying, is referring to what is not Karma Yoga. And what is not Karma Yoga in this context? Okay, it is Jnana Yoga, right? In the context. So, just like an example is given, if somebody has a cat and a dog, both with them, and they are going somewhere, and they say, give the cat to this person, this neighbor, and give the other one to the other neighbor. So if they make a statement like that, then the understanding is that cat is going to one person and the other one is going to the other neighbor, means the other one is the dog over here, right? Because there are only 2 things, the cat and the dog. Okay, so when you say, so when you are talking about only 2 things, two things as in 2 perspectives, and one perspective has been named and the other perspective is said that not that, then it means the other thing. So when you say karma and akarma in this context, they say karma means karma yoga and akarma means they're saying in this context jnana yoga, because that was Arjuna's problem, right? Why should I do karma yoga? I'll rather do jnana yoga. So the theme of the fourth chapter is how to see karma yoga as jnana yoga. So that means these verses and their explanations are extremely beautiful, because the goal over here is to see that in that karma yoga only jnana yoga is contained. So Krishna wants to tell Arjuna, hey Arjuna, you don't have to separately try for jnana yoga. In karma yoga only, that understanding of jnana, if it is there, then the karma yoga only becomes like that. Correct. So just like he's giving an example here, just like a game of chess. So in a game of chess, if you see, the hands may be engaged, right, in moving the pawn from one place to the other. But we all know that in the game of chess, more than the hand, it is the brain that is being involved, correct? Because it is the understanding. Chess is not like, not so much a purely gross game, like maybe football or something, where it's mainly about, the external senses, correct? So in a game of chess, as you are moving the pawns, which you are doing externally with your hands, but actually what is going on is the thought behind it, right? So that is so similarly, the theme in the fourth chapter that we will be seeing is how to see this karma yoga only as jnana yoga. So that is karmano karmatasya cha. So that is the second theme of the fourth chapter. The third theme is Bedha. Bedha means different types of karma yoga. Interestingly, in the fourth chapter, between 4.25 and 4.32, Krishna is illustrating almost 13 types of karma yoga besides varnashram dharma. So varnashram dharma cannot be given up. That is part of karma yoga only. That also Krishna talks about. But besides Varnashram, there are 13 types of Karma Yoga that Krishna is mentioning in this chapter. And we will see all these 13. Okay, so that is Veda. So Veda means different types of Karma Yoga. And that is the third part of the fourth chapter. And the final part of the fourth chapter he is saying is Jnanasya Mahatmyam. Jnanasya Mahatmyam is very simple. The glories of Jnana. Now, which is now somebody may say, what do you mean by glory of Jnana? Because Krishna's whole perspective is that do Karma Yoga, don't do exclusive Jnana Yoga. So then the understanding here is when you are doing Karma Yoga with that Jnana component attached to it, then there is some glory in that. And that is what Krishna is speaking here. So I'm just repeating the point again, that here Jnanasya Mahatmyam means it is not about the pure Jnana Yoga. Okay, because that Krishna never recommended only. So what Krishna did not recommend, why will he speak the glories of that to confuse Arjuna even further? Okay, because, right, it's very clear in the Bhagavad Gita, right from beginning to end, Krishna has never recommended the pure Jnana Yoga method. Pure Jnana Yoga is like you give up all duties and just do Jnana Yoga. So that Krishna has never recommended. Krishna has only spoken about Karma Yoga, and then Krishna has gone to Bhakti Yoga in the middle 6 chapters. Right? So that is why, so when he's saying here Jnanasya Mahatmyam, it is referring to it is connected to that second part. Remember, in the second part we said how to see Karma Yoga only and Jnana Yoga. So that Jnana, which is part of the Karma Yoga, that means when you're doing Karma Yoga and you do it with a particular understanding, that understanding is glorious. And that understanding's glories is described in the 4th chapter again between 4.33 to 4.42. So in this way, Yamunacarya, Sripad Yamunacharya beautifully summarizes the entire 4th chapter in a single verse. Okay, so we will look at that once again and then jump into the 4th chapter. Prasangat swasvabhavoktihi karmano akarma tasya cha Veda Jnanasya Mahatmyam Chaturthadhyaya Uchyate. So in the Chaturtha Adhyaya, 4 things are spoken. Prasangat swasvabhavoktihi. As a matter of fact, he started speaking about his own swabhava, his own nature. That we will see today, why he is speaking that. Second thing, karmano akarma tasya. How to see Karma Yoga only as akarma. And akarma here is Jnana Yoga. In this context, Veda means the different types of Karma Yoga. 13 types of Karma Yoga are going to be mentioned besides Varnashram. Jnanasya Mahatmyam, glories of Jnana. And glories of Jnana means not the pure Jnana Yoga, which Krishna never recommended. These are the glories of Jnana, which is part of Karma. Okay, and this is part of the 4th chapter. So it's very, very beautiful. We are going into this particular discussion of the 4th chapter. So I'm going to right away open the Bhagavad Gita and we're going to start off. Right. So here it is. And the Bhagavad Gita verses are up on the screen. So of course, most of us we know these verses very well. So let's see them one by one and let's see the connection as to what is happening over here. Okay. Yeah. So the first verse we all know, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha, Imam Vivaspate Yogam Proktavan Aham Abhyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manurikshva Kave Bravit. So Shri Bhagavanu Vacha, Krishna is saying that I gave this knowledge to the son called Vivasvan, and he in turn narrated it to Manu, and then Manu to Ikshvaku. So that is what he's saying. So first thing is a question. What is the question being raised? The question being raised is, why did Krishna start speaking about this? So what is going on currently? See, please, first of all, let us try to understand. When Krishna spoke to Arjuna, the Bhagavad Gita in the battlefield, it is not that he was saying, Abhi chalo 3rd chapter khatam ho gaya, main 4th chapter shuru kar raha hu. So it's not like that. So we all know that this chapter wise division is done by Vyasadeva, correct? Krishna did not end 3rd chapter, 43rd verse and said, thus ends the 3rd chapter, Karma Yoga. Now I'm going to the next theme, Jnana Yoga, transcendental knowledge or whatever. Right? No. So Krishna is speaking continuously, verse after verse. So when somebody is speaking to someone else, when you are speaking about something, it is common knowledge, right? When you speak about something, suddenly you will not change the topic. The topic changes gradually, right? There has to be a connection between what has been said earlier and what you're saying now. Otherwise, the speech is very incoherent. Okay, so the question being asked here is, why is Krishna saying that I gave this knowledge to Vivasvan? What is the connection of that to Karma Yoga? Because that's what is being discussed in the 3rd chapter till now. So, ye kahan se aa gaya bhai? So for that, the commentators here say that Arjuna had a doubt in his mind by the end of the third chapter, which Krishna sensed. Okay. I mean, that's one way of looking at it. I'll tell you the other way as well. So Arjuna had a doubt. This Krishna is talking about Karma Yoga, that just by doing our Karma Yoga, one can achieve moksha or whatever, one can achieve, the position of an Atman, right? We have seen that already in the third chapter, verses like 3.18 and all that. So Arjuna was wondering that, is this something new that Krishna is saying? Because I had never heard this, that by doing Karma Yoga, one can progress towards moksha and all that. So how is Krishna saying this? So sensing that in Arjuna's mind, Krishna wanted to clarify that, hey Arjuna, I am not speaking something new over here. The same thing I have told it to Vivaswan long back. Okay, so that is the point over here. Imam Vivasvate Yogam. Here Yogam is which Yogam? It is Karma Yoga, right? Because yoga can be anything. In the context of 7th to 12th chapter, we will see yoga as always Bhakti Yoga, because that is the theme of discussion there. But in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when just Karma Yoga is over, the Yogam here is Karma Yoga. This Krishna has just spoken that. So Krishna wants to tell Arjuna that, Arjuna, I am not speaking anything new here. I have spoken this already to Vivaswan. And don't think that I am just saying something to make you fight this battle that you are not interested to fight. Okay, so Krishna, that is why he's saying, that is why he's bringing Vivaswan into this picture. Another way we can look at it, that whether Krishna saw Arjuna's mind or no, Krishna wanted to tell Arjuna, don't worry, this yoga that I'm telling, this is something which is very ancient. And generally, something very ancient means it has its own reliability, right? It has its, what shall I say? Just like we all know that, maybe like brands. Why do brands sell in today's world? Because they're old. Somebody says, oh, this particular brand is in existence since 150 years. Okay, then it has a charm of its own. Then people understand, oh, that means it's a very ancient thing or whatever. So something like that. So Krishna wants to emphasize this to Arjuna, that I have already told this. And this, now let's go into some more words in this verse. Imam Vivaspate Yogam. So yoga means Karma Yoga. Proktavan aham avyayam. Avyayam means never destroyed. So again, the commentators ask a question. So it's something. See, one thing about commentaries now of Shastra, one beauty in commentaries is that it is always question-answer mode. Questions are raised by the commentator only. That this question is being, they raise a question and then they defend, they answer that. That is how all commentaries are done. Okay, so here, first of all, yoga means Karma Yoga. We saw that in this context. Proktavan aham avyayam. Avyayam means, we all know the Sanskrit. It means never destroyed. Avyayam means jiska vinash nahi hota, jiska nash nahi hota. Right? That is avyayam. So somebody may ask a question, how come Krishna is calling it avyayam? Because when we start Karma Yoga, doesn't it have an end? Correct? Like somebody starts Karma Yoga, somebody, let's say Arjuna is going to start the war. That is his Karma Yoga. It has an end. Na? Karma Yoga is related to karma. Karma is related to the body. And that has an end. So how can Karma Yoga be eternal? So he's raising the question. Then they are only answering that, see, Karma Yoga, so 2-3 ways we can see how Karma Yoga is avyayam. First of all, they say that as a concept, Karma Yoga is avyayam. That means the concept of Karma Yoga is there in the heart of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So even at the time of Pralaya Kala, when nobody is doing Karma Yoga, right? Because at Pralaya Kala, what happens? All the Atmas are sleeping in the body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So nobody is doing Karma Yoga because nobody is doing Karma only from top to down. But even when nobody is doing Karma Yoga in the world because of Pralaya Kala, that concept of Karma Yoga is seated in the heart of Sri Krishna. Because Krishna is, because this is a very dear thing to the Lord. So that is why it is avyayam. That's one way you can see. Another way you can see is what comes out of Karma Yoga. We had already seen, if you remember, in the 3rd chapter, right? 3.17 or 18 talks about it, that how Karma Yoga also gives you perfection. Perfection is moksha. So if Karma Yoga can take you towards moksha, and moksha is eternal, so Karma Yoga becomes eternal because the fruit is eternal. Because if the fruit is eternal, then the concept is also eternal only. So even though The karma yoga, for that I do karma with my body. My body may die at one point of time, but because of that karma yoga rendered by my body, like King Janak. King Janak, the Bhagavad Gita says in the 3rd chapter, if you recall, that he achieved perfection simply by karma yoga. So today you may say that Janak's body is not there. At least we cannot see here in this world. Where is this Janak? Okay, that may be there. So that action may have stopped, but the result he got as a result of that karma yoga, which Krishna clearly says, is he attained perfection by that. So that perfection is eternal perfection. So that is why it is avyayam. So many ways we can see this. Okay, so till now we have said imam vivaspate yogam proktavano. Then the question is being asked, why Vivaswan? Why is Krishna not giving some other characters example? Why is he saying I spoke to Vivaswan? Because he says that generally the idea is that everybody in the world can be bewildered easily, except Surya Devata. See, because Surya by definition is light, right? Like Surya by definition is brightness. He is Sat, he is Jyoti. Like the whole Gayatri mantra at one level addresses Surya as well. So Surya, so the point is that Surya can never be bewildered, because bewilderment is synonymous with darkness. So if somebody says Surya Dev is in bewilderment or darkness, then what does it mean? I mean, that's like a complete contradiction, right? So that is why he says here that Krishna is saying Vivaswan, or kisi ko nahi Vivaswan ko bataya, and he understood it. Okay, right? And also because it was instructed long ago. Okay, and then of course Vivaswan gave it to Manu, and Manu gave it to Ikshwaku, and in this way, in parampara, this concept was taught. Okay, this is verse number 1. So I hope everyone understood the connection between this verse and the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which we discussed in now. Now let's go to the next verse, 4.2. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshiyo viduh sakalene hamata yogo nashta parantapa. So here Krishna is saying that in this way, in parampara, this knowledge was being passed down among the Raja Rishis. Sakale neha mahata, with time it got destroyed. Yoga nashta parantapa. Okay, so let's go into this verse. So the first teaching in this verse is wisdom is given generation to generation. Okay, so this is what is called as legacy. Okay, so generally this is very important concept in our Shastra, that any man or woman before they die in the world, they should leave back a legacy. Okay, so that means you have done something and that contribution is continuing in the world. Okay, so how does your contribution or your legacy continue in the world? It continues in 2 ways. Putramsha Shishyamcha. Putramsha Shishyamcha means it is either through in your family only, through your sons, grandchildren, and so on, the legacy should continue. Or else you look at it as Shishya. That means you have your disciples, your students, through whom the legacy continues. But legacy must be continuing. Okay, so nobody can say that I gave up this world and I did not, my legacy did not continue. So that's considered terrible actually. Okay, so that's why if you see in our itihasas, Puranas, everything, legacy was considered very important. Like, I mean, simple example also, like we see that how if a king doesn't have a child, we see that they keep doing so many yajnas, this, that to get a child. Somebody may say, Arey, why, what is the need, man? Because legacy was very important in our Shastra. Nobody could quit the world without leaving a legacy behind. Okay, so that's a very important thing. And more importantly, also after having your children, they have to be properly educated and trained as well, right? So that they can carry on your legacy. Otherwise, the legacy is again broken. What is the use of just having children like cats and dogs, but not passing on, the right kind of legacy to them. So this is a very important lesson from this verse. Evam parampara praptam. Because in this Bhagavad Gita context, this parampara is not only Shishya parampara, but also Putra parampara, correct? Because Vivaswan is giving it to Manu, Manu is giving to Ikshwaku. They are basically father, son, like that, grandson. So it is basically a family dynasty, correct? But also it is Shishya, because in a way the father is also the guru of the son. So there is a legacy. So this legacy is the very important lesson in this particular verse. Okay. Now the next word here to be emphasized, Raja Rishi. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. So Rajarishi has many meanings. The meaning used here by the commentator is magnanimous attitude. Rajarishi matlab bada dil wala, magnanimous attitude. Why magnanimous attitude? Why are they called as people with great magnanimous attitude like Vivaswan, Manu? Why all these people are called as people who had a magnanimous attitude? The reason is that all these people, Krishna wants to tell Arjuna, hey Arjuna, all these people also could have given up Karma Yoga and done Jnana Yoga. Correct? Because that was Arjuna's problem na, in the beginning of third chapter. Just third chapter means just a few verses ago. Right? He said that why should I engage in this ghastly warfare when intelligence is better than fruit work? So Krishna wants to tell Arjuna, hey Arjuna, these people, they are so magnanimous that if they wanted, they could have personally given up Karma Yoga and done Jnana Yoga. They had that capacity. Like Krishna had said in 3.17. Somebody who is a self-realized soul, he has nothing to do in this world. But even though they could have done that, just for the sake of people in the world and a legacy, they stayed on. That is why they are magnanimous. That is why they are Rajarishi. That's why they are great people. That just like Janak. He could have done. He could have just walked off from the palace and done Jnana Yoga. But for the sake of people in general, Asakta Lokarakshaya, if you remember Yamunacarya's verse. Right? For the sake of people in the world, they did it. So setting a right example is considered again very important in this verse. Okay. Then the question is, if this knowledge was coming in parampara, it would have come to Arjuna also, right? No, it did not, since it was destroyed with time. Sakalene hamahata. So somebody may say, if it is destroyed, does it mean completely destroyed or what? So does it mean completely destroyed? So the answer is no. Destroyed doesn't mean completely destroyed. It means almost destroyed. Almost destroyed. So the commentators again here say that there were many great personalities like Vidura and all of them who were present in Mahabharata as contemporaries. They knew Karma Yoga, not that they didn't. Even Bhishma Pitama knew Karma Yoga very well. So there were so many great personalities who knew this. But the common man had almost forgotten about it. And that is what Krishna is saying here. So now we are going to the third verse. Saevayam mayatedhya yoga prokta puratana. Okay. Bhaktosime sakacheti rahasyam hetaduttamam. Saevayam. That same knowledge. Yoga prokta puratana. That same knowledge I have come to tell you. And why have I come to tell you? Because you are my friend and disciple. Friend and devotee. Okay. Now again, let's go into this verse. So the first part of this verse, Saevayam mayatete. It's a very beautiful word. If you see, the commentators here say that Saevayam, when Krishna says, it is something in Sanskrit technically called as Pratyabhijna. Pratyabhijna is one type of pramana. Like we say Pratyaksha pramana, Anuman pramana, Shabda pramana. Na? Like that, there is something called Pratyabhijna pramana. Abhi Pratyabhijna pramana kya hota hai bhai? Pratyabhijna pramana means it is just like, suppose you meet somebody and say this is Sridhar, then that is pratyaksha. You are saying this is Sridhar. But then if you tell some person, "Arey, this person is the same Sridhar whom we had met in Vrindavan last year." Okay, so that means now you are not only talking about this Sridhar, you are giving a memory, a recognition, a cognition that see we had met this Sridhar in Vrindavan, and that same Sridhar is right now standing in front of us. So this kind of praman is called pratyabhijna. So this is not just pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means just seeing something. Pratyabhijna means connecting it to an earlier event. Okay, so here what is the pratyabhijna Krishna is saying? Krishna is saying that Vivaswan ko maine karma yoga bataya tha. I had spoken karma yoga to Vivaswan long ago. That same karma yoga I'm telling you right now. Okay, so that is the pratyabhijna, just like I gave that example. So Krishna is saying Saevaya means that yoga only is this yoga. That means what I spoke to Vivaswan, same thing I'm speaking to you. Prokta means I'm speaking. Proktaha, I'm speaking it to you. Why Arjuna? Why not somebody else? So now Krishna is giving the qualification. Bhakto sime sakacheti rahasyam hetaduttam. I'm telling you because you are my bhakta and you are my sakha as well. Now the commentators again here they say that bhakta is at lower level. Right? When you say someone's bhakta, then thoda niche level ka hai. Lekin sakha means same level. Sakha means same level. So there is a definition of Bhakta in Sakha given, very interesting. Bhakta is defined as Shastra Drishta Mahatva Anusandhanena Preeti Bhaktaha. That means Bhakta is defined here. So this is a verse from some scripture where Ramanujarya quotes. He's saying that Jo Shastra Padke, one who by reading the Shastra understands the greatness of the Lord and starts the process of loving him is called Bhakta. Okay, that means by connection with Shastra, one starts understanding the greatness of the Lord, that how great Krishna is, and then starts developing devotional service to him. Anusandhanena. I mean the following, like devotional service we call it. No? That is bhakti. So devotional service means bhakti, but the devotional service from where it has come? By studying Shastra. That means the idea is that so bhakta is more here used in the context of someone in this world who has studied Shastra and who was doing it. Because the term which they use for those who are in the spiritual world is called as nitya, when they're always there. So they make a distinction between a bhakta of this world and the nitya of the spiritual world. Anyway, that's a technical detail. Bhaktosi means one who's currently bhakta. Bhaktosi means abhi jo bhakta hai, not that pehle bhakta tha aur bhakti chhod diya. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that you are my bhakta right now. And not only you are my bhakta, you are also my sakha. Sakha means what? Avatara drishta saulabhyena pranayena vishrambha. That means one who is very intimate with the Lord. Okay, very, very intimate to the Lord is called as Sakha. So Arjuna is called as Sakha. Why is he called as Sakha? There is a very beautiful story which maybe I've narrated once before, but I will say it again. Okay, the story is our Dhritarashtra is sending Sanjaya, okay, to Dwaraka to tell the Pandavas, this is before the war. Dhritarashtra sent Sanjaya to the Pandavas to tell them that just sit there only in Dwaraka, don't come back here. Beyond that, right? Before the war, Dhritarashtra sent Sanjaya like that to Dwaraka to meet Pandavas. And in fact, he tells Pandavas that don't beg in Hastinapur. That will be a problem. Dhritarashtra actually says that. Says, beg in Dwaraka only. Okay, just stay there. Don't come back to me. Don't come back and, do all this. So when Sanjaya goes, it is said that Sanjaya met the Pandavas. So Sahadev was there. He met him. He met many others. He wanted to meet Arjuna and Krishna. So Sahadev told our Sanjaya that, you see, Arjuna and Krishna are in the inner chamber. Generally, nobody is allowed there. So I don't think I can permit you. So Sanjaya was waiting for a long time. So Sanjaya finally tells him that, please tell him that I have come. So then they send some security person inside. And then Arjuna and Krishna give permission. They say, okay, no problem. Sanjaya can come in. So when Sanjaya comes in the bedroom, he sees a very beautiful scene. The scene is described in so many ways. There were 4 people sitting in the same bed. There was Arjuna, Draupadi, Krishna and Satyabhama. Okay. And now picturize this carefully. Okay. Krishna's lotus feet was on Satyabhama's thigh, so maybe Satyabhama massaging or whatever. Arjuna was lying on the lap of Krishna and Arjuna's feet were on the lap of Draupadi. Just imagine this picture. So this was the way these 4 people were sitting on the same bed. Now this is considered a very, very intimate scene. Okay. I mean, how is it even possible that, of course, Krishna and Arjuna were cousins, but can you imagine the intimacy they had? They were all sitting just in a very relaxed way, right? And, they were having a good time talking to each other. So when Sanjaya, it is said, when he saw the scene, he thought, finished. Dhritarashtra and his sons are finished. There is no chance only of their survival. Why? Because if Krishna feels such great intimacy with Arjuna that he can sit in his bed, his wife is there, Arjuna's wife is there, and they're all sitting so intimately, then God knows what all Krishna can do to protect Arjuna. And if Krishna is going to protect Arjuna, Dhritarashtra's sons are dead. So he comes back and tells Dhritarashtra, you are finished, man. Forget it. Tu jeet hi nahi sakta hai ye war. So this is Sakha. So Bhaktos mein Sakha cheti, this is the Sakhatvam. Okay, so Krishna and Arjuna were very intimately related. So that's what Arjuna and Krishna is saying here, Bhaktosi me sakati. You're not only a Bhakta, you're also me Saka. Hence, Rahasyam hetad uttamam. Hence, I'm going to speak this Rahasya. Okay, so from this, we understand now what is a Rahasya that's also going to come up. So now Arjuna is asking a question. Okay, so let's look at Arjuna's question. Aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvatah katametad vijaniyam tvamado proktavaniti. So he's asking, Aparam bhavato janma. I understand that you are junior in birth to Vivaswan. Katametad vijaniyam. Then how do I understand that tvamado proktavaniti? You spoke to him because, right? Because you apparently you are in the world as long as I am there, since 125 years. So how do I understand? How do I know that you actually spoke to him? Now, at this point, many questions can be raised. So the commentators are raising many questions here. One question they are raising is, in the 10th chapter, Arjuna said to Krishna, right? If all of you know 10th chapter, there Arjuna tells Krishna, Asito Devalo Vyasa Swayam Cheva Bravishyami. Right? So there is a Asita, Devala, Vyasa, all have told me about your glories. And now you are repeating the same to me, correct? We all know this from 10th chapter Bhagavad Gita. Asito Devalo Vyasa Swayam Cheva Bravishyami. He's saying that in the 10th chapter. So the question is, if Krishna had, and that obviously Arjuna had heard from Asita Devala Vyasa before Bhagavad Gita. Correct? So basically that means if Arjuna knew about the glories of Krishna, why is he asking this question here? Okay, so the understanding is, it's when it doesn't mean that Arjuna doesn't know anything. Certainly, Arjuna knows that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is the Paramatma in everybody's heart. He knows all this. Not that he doesn't know that, he certainly knows it. But there are some questions in his mind about Krishna's coming to this world. Now, what are those questions? So the commentators say there are 6 questions which are there in Arjuna's mind, because of which Krishna is speaking the next 5 verses, where he's talking about Avatara Rahasya. Avatara Rahasya means about his purpose of coming to this world. Now we can go back to the Yamunacarya's verse. If you remember, I said 4th chapter, Yamunacharya summarizes. How does he summarize? Prasangat swasvabhavoktihi. Prasangat means bato bato mein Krishna is talking about his greatness. So what is that bato bato mein? This is the bato bato mein. Krishna, in the logic of Bhagavad Gita, in the flow of Bhagavad Gita, he automatically did not want to speak about it. Krishna wanted to say that, hey Arjuna, this Karma Yoga, I have told it to Vivaswan. But when he said that, Arjuna got some other question only, which was not related to Karma Yoga. Are you getting it? Because Arjuna's question now here is not related to this Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga. See, this was the main problem of Arjuna. Between chapter 3 and 5, यही theme चल रहा है, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Correct? So Arjuna's prime question in Bhagavad Gita was not this. Krishna was talking about this Vivaswan and all this Parampara concept because Krishna wanted to say that this Karma Yoga is a very old concept. But as a matter of fact, when Krishna started speaking, Arjuna got some question. Like sometimes it happens in our preaching programs. You are speaking on some theme, and when you are speaking on some theme, you make a point, and a person gets a question about some detail of that point, and because of that, you go into some other trajectory only, and then later you come back to your theme. And that is what is happening in the Bhagavad Gita here, as per the commentators, that the whole discussion is about Karma Yoga only. But because Arjuna got this question, that is why Krishna had to sidetrack, move away from that whole theme which he was maintaining, and start talking about why he comes to this world. So this Avatara Rahasya comes up over here. This is very clear. Yeah. So now the thing is, now the next 5 verses, there are these wonderful verses of the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is talking about why he comes to this world. Okay. So based on the answers that Krishna gives, the commentators here say what are the questions Arjuna had in his mind. It is something like this. Sometimes, it happens that you are sitting at home and 2 people are talking over the, let's say your wife is talking on the phone. When your wife is talking on the phone, you don't know what the other person is saying, correct? Because the other person's voice is not being heard by you. But based on what your wife is speaking over here, you can conjecture that, okay, this is what the person on the other side would have asked, because she is answering all this, right? So from this, we can understand what that person would have asked on the phone. So similarly here, you are hearing only one side where Krishna is going to say many things about his appearance. So all these are made in the form of questions in Arjuna's mind. Okay, so Arjuna is having all these questions in the mind. There are 6 questions that Arjuna is having in his mind. Okay, and as an answer to that, this entire Avatara Rahasya theme is going to come about. Okay, so this is a very, very detailed point, which I think I'll take next time. So I think I will stop here, take some questions, and then I have some other announcements also. So I need some time for that. Okay, Hare Krishna. So we will now, what we are going to do is, we are going to take questions. So anybody has any question on what we said, they could raise their hand and then we could take questions. Yeah. Damodar Ashtang Prabhu, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for this explanation on. Prabhuji, this point which you mentioned that this knowledge was lost.
Yeah.
So this is some parampara we speak, like we say, no, that there are other 4 paramparas, they are never broken, like Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya and all those. So was this sampradayas were present there, but then Arjuna did not how do we understand this?
No, so what the commentators here are saying is that Krishna is talking yoga about which yoga? Karma yoga, right? Because this whole theme is about karma yoga going on now. So what they're saying is the concept of karma yoga, Krishna wants to say that previously it was much well understood in society, but over a period of time it got lost. This concept of karma yoga. See, what is the concept of karma yoga? It's a very brilliant concept if you think about it. That means through your work, you connect to the divine and you achieve liberation, right? So in fact, in the 18th chapter, Krishna again speaks about karma yoga. Swakarmana tammabhyarcha siddhim vindanti manava. What a verse it is. Just think about it. Swakarmana, by your work, tam abhyarcha, you worship the divine. Through that, siddhim vindanti manava. Person can achieve, mankind can achieve perfection. So this concept that through your work, you can connect to the divine and achieve perfection, this concept Krishna is saying here in this limited context of what we're discussing, that it kind of moved away from society. Okay, so the commentators are saying that some people knew, like Vidura certainly knew Karma Yoga, because he's preaching the essence of Karma Yoga only. Vidura talks about all these concepts to Dhritarashtra and all that. But common people did not know, even person like Arjun did not know. That is why Arjuna also got this question, Are, how come, why are you asking me to fight? See, because if you see Arjuna's question in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, why do you want me to fight this ghastly war? There itself, the non-understanding of Karma Yoga is present, right? Because Arjuna is feeling that, yes, ghor yudh karke kya hone wala hai bhai? Why should I do all this? No, you have to, because of all those reasons said in 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Are you getting the point? So that is how it is seen. So, okay. So in another way, what we understand is, please try to understand, paramparas are never completely destroyed. Okay, so when we say this concept that destroyed like that, it doesn't mean, it never means that it is, completely destroyed or something. Like, for example, I tell you the 4th chapter only, Krishna is saying, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Okay, so glani, this word is taken by Ramanujarya and he says, glani means what? Glani doesn't mean dharma is destroyed. Because he says, how can dharma be destroyed? Dharma can never be destroyed. Glani means thoda kami ho gaya usme. He's saying, aisa nahi ki hamesha ke liye chala. Sanatana dharma means what? It has to be there. Bhakti is also eternal, right? So bhakti, the process of bhakti is always there. Now, what may happen is that at times it may become covered. Like if you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent, I mean, we all read it, Chaitanya Charitamrita. When Mahaprabhu came in the world also, there were so many devotees who were practicing. But large sections of population did not know about bhakti. That is why he came. Like Advaita Acharya was already a practicing devotee, right? So many people were there. Haridas Thakur was there. So many others were there. But it was very, very limited. The common man did not have access to it only. So the Lord comes. So that's how we see all this. So again, when we see, that the parampara was destroyed or whatever, it doesn't literally mean destruction in the sense that there is nothing. No, how can that be? Because without dharma, without all these yogas, the world only is destroyed. So it means that the conception is lost among common people. So that's how we look at it. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Another question, like this karma yoga, you said that one of the themes is that karma yoga along with the knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So when we define karma yoga, doesn't it contain this understanding that it has to be done with the knowledge?
Okay.
Like,
See, no. Yeah. So there are two things. See, one is so it's like this. See, karma yoga at a very external level, somebody may do it without so much of knowledge. Also, if you see the knowledge that Krishna talks in fourth chapter, na, it is much more elaborate. We will see aspects of that knowledge which Krishna is speaking. Okay, so there are, like, for example, I tell you, there are so many common people also who say I do karma yoga, right? And when they say they're doing karma yoga, it's not that they don't have a conception of Lord. They have, but that perfect understanding is not there in them. Are you getting my point? There are so many common people also in the world today. Karma yoga is a very commonly understood word, na, in India also. So many people say मैं karma yoga कर रहा हूँ, and some of them may have some conceptions of karma yoga of the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita also. ये सब भगवान के लिए कर रहा हूँ मैं, खुद के लिए कुछ नहीं है, you know, so that all those things. I'm doing it for the sake of society, for the family, for the betterment of the world at large. So whatever Krishna has said in the third chapter, right? If you remember, third chapter में three things Krishna said. One is that do it nishkama, do it for the benefit of welfare in general, correct? And do it as an offering to Supreme. So these three conceptions, if they're there, they're karma yoga. But then there are some additional aspects of knowledge that should be embodied in the person who is doing karma yoga. And that, of course, that we have not spoken about it. That will come in the fourth chapter as we go ahead. Is that okay?
okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Yeah. Gaurav Prabhu, go ahead.
Prabhuji, thank you for the class. I have got two questions. One is, in the previous question you answered, you were saying that this knowledge is about karma yoga, which Krishna is saying got lost. But earlier we used to hear that the entire Gita is what is being referred to as lost, and then Krishna is giving it again. So is there a difference in this karma yoga only and the entire Gita being lost?
Yeah, see, two ways we can look at it. See, first of all, see, these are all commentaries, right? So we are looking at, I've already said, we're looking at the commentary of Ramanujacarya and Yamunacarya, both of them. So every commentary has some flavor in it, right? So it's like that. So yes, so at one level, you could say that the whole thing was lost. You may say that. But then why they are saying it is karma yoga? Because of two, three reasons. One is the concept of bhakti yoga was not something that was lost to the extent that Arjuna did not know about it. But please try to understand. Now, see, this whole explanation is contextual. In that context, correct? Now, what is the whole context of Bhagavad Gita? Context of Bhagavad Gita is not that Arjuna has forgotten how to be a devotee. At least Arjuna has not, right? Arjuna is very clear about devotional service and everything. Arjuna is not in fact, Arjuna is already a devotee. That's what Krishna is saying in the fourth chapter. Okay. So if you see the whole yoga ladder, so there is karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, bhakti yoga, correct? Jnana yoga, to Krishna is not emphasizing only in Bhagavad Gita. All of you agree with it? Where is Krishna talking? Do pure jnana yoga, give up all this karma yoga. No, Krishna is never saying that. Krishna is saying the opposite. Don't give up your karma yoga to do jnana yoga. Do it as a part of it. Correct? So pure jnana yoga, Krishna is not recommending. Ashtanga yoga, Krishna briefly speaks. We will come to that when we come to 6th chapter. Bhakti yoga, Krishna speaks very elaborately. But one thing at least you can understand is that Arjuna had not at least asked about that at least at the beginning. So how it gets connected, we will see that later. Don't worry about it. So in this context of the discussion that is happening, so please try to understand the context. That's what I told you in the beginning. When we speak to somebody, even when a common man speaks to another person, there is a continuity in speech, right? You are speaking about something, suddenly you will not go to something else and start talking. So the first question in the opening of the fourth chapter, what is Ramanujacharya raising? They are raising the question, why is Krishna saying, I taught it to Vivaswar? Why? Because he wants to establish the authenticity of Karma Yoga. That the Karma Yoga is not some new thing that I'm talking, Baba. This is there since Vivaswan's time. So in that context, that yoga becomes Karma Yoga, which we shouldn't have any problem with in that contextual thing. Yeah, now at a larger understanding, you can understand that yes, this whole science of Gita was lost. Because see, again, as we go to Bhakti Yoga, you will also understand Krishna has made a very seamless presentation. See, Krishna has not compartmentalized it so much also. Hey, abhi karma yoga khatam ho gaya, abhi main bhakti yoga baat kar raha hu. No. It is all continuous. It is all in one flow that it is happening, correct? That is how Bhagavad Gita is spoken. So there is a beautiful continuity. So in Krishna's talk, everything gets connected. So in that sense, you can see yoga as full Bhagavad Gita also. There is no harm in that. So both ways are accommodated. But I was just talking from the perspective of the commentary that we're discussing. Is that okay? Make sense?
Okay, Prabhuji. The second question which
One second, I lost you. I don't know. Is it that only I am not able to hear or nobody is able to hear? One second,
No.
1 second.
Not able to hear.
Yeah. Gaurav Prabhu, you are lost. Lost as in your voice is lost.
I'm anyway
Okay.
lost.
Huh?
You can hear me now?
Yeah, no better. Please tell me.
So Prabhuji, so the question is that we are part of Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya, but if you look at that way, the practices which are followed by say Madhvacharya followers in Karnataka and what we are following are different, right? The mantra that we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not what they chant over there in Udupi, right? So how do we understand that? Is it like this is a Upa Sampradaya, for example, Ramanandis, they trace it that they are part of the Sri Sampradaya, right? But at the same time, I don't know the details, but I think they're not exactly having the same practices. So similar case for us also over here. So how do we understand that? I mean, for 2 days back, there was Madhvacharya Jayanti, but I think there's no fasting and all, which is recommended, which is mentioned for ISKCON devotees on that day. So how do we understand this thing that where do we actually stand in terms of the whole parampara?
No, Prabhuji, in terms of parampara, it is very clear we are Gaudiyas. So there's no question about it. Mahaprabhu and his teachings and subsequent followers, it came from Madhvacharya in terms of the disciplic line. But then at one point of time, at least from Mahaprabhu's time or slightly before that, that practice became kind of much different than the way Madhva's practice. So we cannot call ourselves as Madhva in a very strict sense. That's not the case, obviously. Correct? So when we say Brahma Madhva Gaudiya, see, basically you have to also understand that these Sampradaya concepts over a period of time, if someone standing like Lord Chaitanya comes in the middle of that parampara, then he would have a certain legacy which would be unique to him, right? Which he would leave behind. So I think from a very technical perspective, we are Gaudiyas only. We are not Madhva like that in that sense. So yeah.
Okay.
I mean, though the fundamentals are the same everywhere. See, please try to understand. The Prasthanatraya, you understand what is Prasthanatraya? Na? There are 3 literatures that are considered most important to all Vaishnavas and everybody, followers of Sanatana Dharma. Prabhupada talks about Prasthanatraya in Chaitanya Charitamrita also. Prasthanatraya means Bhagavad Gita, Vedanta Sutra, and the Upanishads. Okay, that is Shruti Prasthana, Smriti Prasthana, and I forgot one more the technical name to it. So these 3 are called Prasthana, Prasthanatraya, and these are all Prasthanatraya Acharyas, whether it is Ramanuja, Madhva, all these people. So the basis of all of us is the same only. As in, it's based on these 3: the Bhagavad Gita, the Vedanta Sutra, and the Upanishads in general. So that's why. So even if you are considered like an offshoot, if you want to call it that way, it doesn't again mean that because that essence of what Madhvacharya wanted to talk about, which if you see Madhvacharya's contributions are mainly spoken in terms of deity worship and our emphasizing Krishna as a person, correct? Impersonal understanding is not is kind of fought against. So that is very much there in our sampradaya, and that essence we have taken and we have gone ahead. Okay.
But Prabhuji, if you look at this, even the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas, they have a little bit difference in their philosophy. Like we talk about Lord Chaitanya, Achanta Bheda Bhed, and then we have got Vishishadvaitva, all those things are there. So if at all, I'm just wondering if at all 4 are bona fide, why do they have a difference in their philosophies? As far as I know, you can correct me, that Sri Sampradaya people, I think they believe that Lord Ram takes up the various forms to perform various activities. So somewhere, and like Vishnu is what.
No.
So there are differences still within the Sampradayas also, which is a little bit intriguing for me, because if they all are coming from the same source, why are there so much differences in their practices and their philosophies?
So see, basically the Lord is infinite, right? So the way people see him are infinite. So I'll just tell you about Sri Sampradaya. For example, it's not exactly that they see Ram only as source of all. They see Narayana as the source of everyone. That is there. But again, that doesn't mean that they don't accept Krishna. They accept Krishna Loka also. They accept Krishna Loka also as existing. Okay. So I once asked, I think one Maharaj, what is his name, Bhakti Vidya Purna Maharaj, about this. So when Sri Vaishnavas talk about Goloka, how is their understanding different from our understanding? So he said that in their understanding of Goloka, Krishna is married. And in our understanding of Goloka, Krishna is not married. So I said, then what is the so-called true understanding?
Correct.
So he said, Krishna can have two different spiritual planets also, wherein one he is having pastimes in a married fashion and one unmarried. So why should you limit Krishna to think that he can exist only like this? That in Parakiya Ras only he is relating with the gopis. He can relate to them in Swakiya Ras also, because some people that is attractive. So Krishna has that planet also, he said. So that's what at least he told me. So it's not that, so the contradictions are not seen like that. You have to see it from the perspective that everybody is focusing on something that is most attractive to their hearts. And because the Lord is infinite and he has infinite attributes, someone focuses, like in this example, some Sampradaya focus on Swakiya Ras, another focuses on Parakiya Ras. So somebody may say, how can one talk Swakiya, another Parakiya, if truth is the same? But that truth can have Swakiya also and Parakiya also, right? So one group of devotees are attracted to the Swakiya part, another group are attracted to the Parakiya part. That's it. Krishna makes both the devotees happy.
Dr. Prabhuji, tell me something. For a Sri Sampradaya, do they take Krishna as the supreme the way we take it, or do they take Narayana?
No, they don't see that difference like that so much. They see it as Narayan only. They see it as different forms of Narayan. They look at it like that.
So for them, Narayana is the supreme, is it?
Yeah. No, but they see, but it is not that they don't have an understanding of Krishna Loka. See, that's what I'm trying to tell you. But in their conception of Krishna Loka, Krishna is Swakiya, not Parakiya.
Okay.
Our
Prabhuji, I may have some
understanding
more
of Goloka, Krishna is Parakiya, na? Parakiya Ras, na? Yeah. So the answer at least I got when I asked this Maharaj was that why can't both be there? Why should we think that only Krishna will interact in one way?
Yeah. Prabhuji, thank you very much. I may have some follow-up questions. I'll post it on the group.
Yeah. Sure. I will. Any other quick question? Anyone else? Okay, so I think we're done with. So I'll just stop the recording and then I'll have some announcement as well. I'll just do that.